Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me for another video. But before we get started, I've got some awesome news to bring you guys. I have finally had the official Jadren Aquatics t-shirt made. You can see it right here. 50-50, 50 polyester, 50 cotton. Nice, soft, nice t-shirt. I actually had these guys made, so I've actually got them ready to ship if you guys are interested in it. I'm going to put them on my Patreon first of all for a $15 pledge, and that will get you free shipping also. So if you look down below, you'll see a link where you can click on that so you can find out more information. And also with that $15 pledge, you will also get the full set of stickers that I have from all the different channels. There's about 100 different ones of these stickers right now. So, and if you don't want the shirt and you just want the stickers is just a $5 pledge. So be sure and click that link down below so you guys can see exactly what I have going on. I appreciate you guys so much. The ones of you guys who are already my Patreons, who already support me, you guys mean the world to me. And I thank each and every one of you so much. So let's go downstairs and let's learn more about Jason's automatic water changes.
I'm a fish nerd, a fish nerd, a fish nerd, a fish nerd.
So today we're going to talk about my automatic water change system and some of the changes that I've made in it, and we're going to talk about again the way that it works. So let's go ahead and let's go around to the back of these tanks so we can see just how I'm currently making this work. Okay, so in one of my earlier videos that I did on my automatic water change systems, I had a different type pump. This pump that you see here is a diaphragm pump. The reason that I like to use this pump is this pump can run dry. And so it makes it a whole lot easier to use and a whole lot, gives you a lot better state of mind of knowing that even when this thing completely runs out of water, you're not going to have any problems with it. Now the one that I previously had, that thing was so loud. So I had it on this wall right here, mounted up here, and then on the other side was my son's room, and it literally sounded like an earthquake or a giant 747 was flying over about 5 feet above his bedroom. And so you ask, is that why you got rid of that pump? No, I got rid of that pump because it stopped working. You might remember in a previous video I was upstairs filming and I kept hearing this pump go in and out and in and out. And so I came downstairs afterwards and realized the pump was dying, and then finally dead. But the most amazing thing about it to me is I gotta give Amazon some praise. I had had this pump for 3 months. There was no warranty left on it. I decided I'd contact Amazon anyway. I told them the problem that I was having with it, and she said, well, we normally can't do anything about it, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna give you a full refund. So they allowed me to send it back, gave me a refund on it, and I ended up buying this pump. This pump was a little bit more expensive than that one, but I did a lot of research on this one, and everyone says they love this one. This one is really designed to be a pump that goes onto your RO system that helps give it a little bit more pressure. But this thing works great. It not only can handle all 60 of the tanks I have right now, but it should be able to handle the 40 or so more that I'm going to put online without any problem at all. And this thing is super silent. I literally cannot even hear when it's running unless I come walking back here. And so the first thing that you'll see is I've got a 275-gallon tote. I typically have to fill this thing up about every 3 days, and I use Prime in it to dechlorinate the water. The pump usually comes on, I think I have it set just on a simple timer. It comes on about 6 times a day for about 10 minutes at a time. And then you'll see that it goes up in here and hooks up into here. This is something that I had to change. Before, I just kind of had everything all hooked together. There was really no rhyme or reason to why it was hooked that way, but I started getting so many tanks that it started being a problem. So what I finally did is I actually created like a manifold out of this one so that the main line comes in and then there's 4 outlets. So you have each one of these 4 outlets going to 4 different stations that basically have about the same amount of tanks on it. That way you're getting more of a constant pressure to each and every section instead of just all the wildness where I had where it was just going every which way. And even though once it builds up pressure, it kind of keeps even pressure everywhere, this way just ends up working a whole lot better, because again, I was having a few different problems, and so this fixed all of it for me. And so on each one of the tanks, you'll see where it comes down. Each one of these has one of these on it. This is a dripper, and the dripper simply goes into the water, and then whenever the timer comes on, it just sits there and drips. Now these drippers that I have on here, you can buy these things in different gallons per hour. On all of the 10-gallon tanks, I have the 0.5. So drops 0.5 gallons per hour in it. Now that's based upon a certain pressure on it, so I'm probably putting more pressure on it than it actually is, but I don't really care how much it's putting in it. I just need to know really more of a percentage that it's putting in it. And so with these, again, all the 10 gallons, they have 0.5s. The 20 gallons have 1 gallon per hour on it. And then the 40-gallon ones that are over there, the 40-gallon ones have 2 1-gallon ones on them also. And so one of the questions that you might ask is, how do I make a determination on how long that I run the pump for a day? You know, how much water am I exchanging out of it? And so right now, I think with the way that it runs, that I typically change out about 2 or 3 gallons a day in the 10-gallon aquarium. But let me show you a trick of what I do to kind of understand whether or not I'm getting enough water exchanged in these, because some of my tanks are more heavily stocked than others, so I don't typically have to worry about them too much. But let me go ahead and go back to the front and show you this. Alright, so what we have here is a pH meter. Now I know some of you guys are probably thinking these things never work that well. They're usually just too cheap, but I don't really care whether or not it's giving me the right reading. I just want to see how it relates to the other tanks. So if one's at 6.2 and another one is at 4.2, I know I got a problem with the one that is at 4.2. Now this meter that I got here, this is actually one that I got off of the app Wish. So this is one of the ones that comes from China. This one I think was like less than $8, and this thing works great for what I need it for. The only problem is when you order from Wish, it usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks to actually get it in. So the reason that I use this is because of the water that I have that comes out of the tap here doesn't have very good buffering properties. I have a fairly low pH that comes out of my water, but again, the buffering on these things is just not very good at all. So my tanks can crash fairly easy if you're not keeping up with them. I've tried before on the 10-gallon tanks that I have. I've had crushed coral in the bottom of them, and that worked pretty good. But I found the best way to keep up with it is to do more and more water changes. So the more water that's being put back in there, it's redoing and giving new water in there to keep the buffering capacity up. So I'll take this occasionally and I'll test the tanks to see how they're doing. And I typically will test the ones that tend to have more fish that are in them. And then the ones, especially this tank right here is always a problem, because I have this thing so heavily stocked that the water change that this thing does automatically is not enough. I typically have to do 5 or 10 gallons about every single day now to try to keep this thing under control. But let me kind of show you what it is that I do with this thing. Alright, we got this thing turned on. So let's go to a tank that only has just one betta in it. And let's see where this thing goes. We're probably going to have to speed this up, because the very first time that you do it, it takes forever for it to fall where it needs to be. But remember, again, I've never calibrated this thing, so I don't know exactly where it is. Now, my tap water, from what I remember, is typically about 7.2 pH right out of the faucet. Okay, we can see it's finally starting to calm down. It's bouncing around, but you can see it's about 7.2 right now. And so let's go over to a tank that's a little more, that has a few more fish in it. And it won't take as long on this one. Okay, you can see how fast this one's falling. So what this tells me on this tank is this thing is not changing enough water out at a time. So what I think I'm probably going to end up doing on this one, instead of the 0.5 that's on it, I may take this one and actually put a 2 gallon per hour on it. So it changes out a bunch of water more at a time, or more in a day. So right now, instead of doing 0.5, I'm gonna end up doing 4 times that amount, which may, you know, maybe 6 or 7 gallons a day that gets changed out of this thing. Alright, so there you guys can see just a little bit of my water change system. I'll link above the first video that I did that goes into a little bit more in depth of exactly how I set each and everything up. All the different parts that I use to connect, the 45s and the T's, and all the other 1/4 inch water fittings that I use to connect these up. So if you guys want to see a little bit more, I just wanted you guys to be able to see a little bit differently how I'm doing it, and how I am right now making a lot of changes based upon the aquariums, and maybe I might even start changing it so that the timer runs longer, so that I'm transferring more and more water out. But again, I'm already going through 275 gallons a day. I'm probably going to get to the point where I'm filling that thing up daily, but I don't have a water faucet out here, so I have to run a hose. I've kind of got a little system set up that I can hook up to that big container of water and fill that thing up. But again, it's probably going to come down to where I'm doing it every single day. So if you guys got any questions, be sure and leave those questions down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Love when you guys help me out. I really, really appreciate it, because I am learning every single day, just like many of you guys are. So thanks again, guys, and God bless.